Sorry about that. Well, we're not leaving the way we came in.
Welcome everyone to a first contact look at the latest remaster to receive the lavish care for now generation machine and gamers. This time not outsourced and instead handled directly by the original developers Insomniac, and as you can see, it's a real treat on the eyes. Rich texture work, huge amounts of geometry, bright colours, post effects up the wazoo, and oh wait, sorry, my bad, this is not the new game, but the PS2 original from nearly 15 years ago. Yes, sorry, this is the new game on the PS4, in all its glory.
Whoa, that is a lot of bad guys.
One down.
Now, it does not take a scientific approach to realise that this is clearly a looker, and why I placed it in my best graphics list from last year. Insomniac have not only reworked the game to update and tie it in with a new movie, and this includes big changes to the levels at times, even bigger ones to the story and controls, that makes it feel as fresh as the pixels. Coming in with a native 1920 by 1080 display and a 30Hz or 30fps target rate, it may leave some frowning. But turn those frowns upside down, as for your fears will quickly be put to rest once you watch it, or better yet, play it. I will be covering the game in more detail when I've had some time with it and been able to appreciate its updates and beauty for longer, along with its original PS2 release. Now, to quickly sum up the game, it is a reboot of the first game based on the movie of the characters from both in a new tale, sort of. The game delves more into certain areas the original game skipped over or never even mentioned in the first place. This is clear from the opening sections of the game feeling very different indeed, and I will cover more in my next article. But most came here to see what the performance is like on the new game and to see just what the classic PS2 release managed within its 60 FPS target. Now, all retro rose-tinted gamers may want to take a seat before we look into this and we test if your memory has clouded over since you last donned the wrench. Now, if Ratchet would just help me turn on my frame rate application, we can just see what each game and machine achieves.
So, are we good?
Thanks Ratchet. As you can see, the flat line does not mean the PS4 is dead, but rather that the target 33 milliseconds rate is achieved predominantly throughout my play and tested sections, holding its 30Hz target with relative ease no matter how much is thrown at you. On hard, this ramps up the enemy's action and all the footage you see is me playing on that level. But what of the PS2, you may ask? The numbers are not pretty, I'm afraid. Well, depending on what you play it on anyway. Using the original 60GB PS3 or FAT that came with the PS2 hardware, we get a very different picture to its actual hardware. Most likely due to the forcing of a progressive scan display, which this game never supported. Now, this leaves it running an effective unlocked frame rate, and here demonstrating the terrible plight us Europeans had to suffer back in the retro days, as here we gained a higher pixel count, but this is mostly given away to borders. But I digress, and this is a video for another time. The short version is, here in the UK, it ran at 50Hz rather than the 60Hz of the American version, meaning when you see 50 FPS or 25 FPS, this would equate to 60 or 30 respectively for that release. Handled simply and cheaply, holding every 6th frame as a duplicate. So for the rest of the video, please replace 25 with 30 and 50 with 60 for the US version, whenever I say it or you see it on screen. This was one of the few games that actually had a 60Hz option mind, but for these tests, I have left it at the PAL 50Hz default. Now, luckily this is not a huge issue, as although some may remember the 60 FPS days, this game was rarely anywhere near that region. Well, we're running on the PS3 anyway. Spending most of its time at the half rate of 25, actual rate of a 50Hz analog game in frames, and aside some cinematics and quiet corner moments, it rarely strays above this level, but it can go much lower and for longer periods. Harking back to the older games, as I talked about with my last Just Cause 3 video, when it drops frames it slows down as the whole engine and system are all tied sequentially, and as the engine slows down, rather than drop frames but continue in the game simulation as it does now, we see everything slow down, and after my test the game is overall much tougher to play due to the very inconsistent delivery and more importantly control. Most with the platform moments, as timing is uneven and random, lows of 17 are hit and often, giving us an average of 24 FPS, and it's really not smooth to play at all. This uneven performance really hampers the enjoyment of the game, making battles, aiming and platforming far more difficult than it should really be. But all this is erased in an instance playing the game on its intended PS2 hardware, and with the remake, That is really a passionate job across the board, improving everything by huge factors, not unsurprising for its 2-generational leap. But with the PS2 running the game with the expected interlace mode, we get a solid 50Hz update. The image, as you can see, changes when being converted on capture for this analysis, and this is no mean feat to achieve. But giving the game and team an honest review as such, the PS3 nostalgic replays are not a fair view of the game's performance at all. Side by side you can see where the forced progression is causing strain and a 20 FPS output, and on PS2 we see this smooth run of 50Hz from my playtests, or 60Hz depending on your locale. And if you are looking to play the original, then the PS2 is the way to do it, and has CRT for full effect, as the visuals are designed for that display type and as such look much better for it. With either machine though, the chasm between that and the newly improved version is equally as massive. Models are now not only based on the movie, but data and models were actually shared. The 30 tick rate is helped by Insomniac's great motion blur for objects and radial, meaning that not only is everything super smooth and as slick as Captain Quark, but it never hampers your control. This is as night and day as the visuals from the PS2 version. Bokeh depth of field is used in gameplay and cutscenes, with the post effects and superb animation, and to be fair, always a high point of the team and its engine, giving the game its dreamwork looks, and boy does it impress. Again, PBR is used throughout the game, aiming for that CGI look, and it achieves it, nailed on. The engine being the same one used for their PS3 release and its bespoke SPU elements, all ported and improved to better suit the new machines with its first exclusive Sunset Overdrive on the Xbox One, and this would have helped the speed at which they could deliver this fun-filled beauty. It can drop a frame here and there at times, but nothing of any great concern, and is nearly always followed with a buffer flip and the rare 16 millisecond times you can see on the graph. Aside my frame rate application, you would never notice any dips, and it really is as solid as the visual treats the game offers up. With a mixture of real-time and movie pre-rendered sequences, you really have to take a second look to see which is which. They are that good. I will leave you with a few more minutes between the two, and I will return with a detailed look at the game and Insomniac's love letter to Ratchet and Clank. And as always, I hope you guys and girls enjoyed this. If you did, then please hit the like and subscribe button, as it really helps me immensely. Leave all your thoughts and feedback below. You guys and girls take care, and I'll see you very soon on the next one.
I don't want to test you or avoid us, but just in case, check your there are my one waiting for you. Regarding this unfortunate situation, I noticed my technical difficulties on our side. It's me again, Major Buckwatch. The phone rang and I picked up, but the other person hung up. Just thought it might be. When you're ready to discuss how to bring back to reception, give me a call.
Last long without our help.
Thank you. I thought we were done for sure.
We are happy to be of assistance. Why is Drek trying to kill you?
It's my nephew, Skid McMarks.
Wait, Skid McMarks, the pro hoverboarder?
Here, take a look.